this was not how I was supposed to come back. I was supposed to come back with a top 5 uh, Street Fighter characters that pissed me off, right? The characters I just could not stand. And I would have had a lot more videos, up by now, including that top 5. But you know what? Life is a bitch. A big bitch. Like, fucking. Damn, my liquor. Like, what? 2 jobs worth of being a bitch. Like, 12 hours of working, 3 hours of driving, 1 hour to yourself during weekdays, kind of like being a bitch. But that's neither here nor there. The reason why I had to show up now, I had to make time for myself because it disgusts me to have to say this, but this is going to be a rant about Capcom. Oh yeah, no script, just me being pissed off about something that needs to be fixed. When it comes right down to it, this is not something I've ever wanted to do. I didn't want to have to come out here and what people would think like jumping on the bandwagon on just, hey, Capcom's just another thing that you can make fun of. No, this is not something I want to do. But Capcom has just been pissing me off far too many times, and it's gotten to the point where they just did that one thing that drove me to have to do this. And the funny thing is, I've been actually expecting this a long time. I've been actually expecting them to do this for quite some time. Ever since they said Darkstalkers are not dead, ever since we've seen the teaser with Dimitri and Lord Raptor, ever since we've seen that whole slogan thing in trailers for other games and whatnot, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I've been skeptical. Because the way Capcom has been acting as of lately, they don't seem to care about what we've been asking for. People have been wanting Mega Man. They canceled 3 games, and then they blame us, saying we didn't show them enough support. They bring back Darkstalkers to an extent with Darkstalkers Resurrection, and that was great. I bought the game twice. One for my 360, one for my PS3 that I just recently got. Now I find out that from a very reliable friend of mine, a fellow gamer, who's not as big a fighting game fan as I am, but still a fan of fighting games nonetheless, he sent me, when I just got back home from work, a text message that Capcom's pretty much said that Darkstalkers is going back in the grave. If Ghost Nappa from fucking Team 4 Stars version of Dragon Ball Z Bridge showed up, he would be like, bink, they killed the Darkstalkers. Because let me read this out real quick. Let me just read this. During Capcom's fighting game panels, Street Fighter producer Yoshino Ono usually tells attendees Darkstalkers are not dead, and asks fans to raise their hands holding money for a new Darkstalkers game. This started back at Comic-Con 2011, and at New York Comic-Con 2012, there was even a teaser with Dimitri and Lord Raptor, which was awesome, by the way. That was fucking cool. Capcom didn't pull that line this year, and Darkstalkers Resurrection was not a strong seller. Speaking with Silicon Era, Matt Dahlgren, fighting game manager at Capcom, said, quote, Darkstalkers Resurrection did not perform as well as we would have liked to perform. You never know what the future may hold, but Street Fighter is definitely not dead, unquote. That last line right there at the end of his quote pretty much sums up how Capcom feels. It's complete and total bullshit. It's complacency, if you will. It's like they're afraid to take risks and just do something different rather than just sticking to what they know. And this is something they've known for years now. I mean, they did the same bullshit with Street Fighter 2, but then again, it wasn't bullshit. It was completely justified because you couldn't patch that shit back then. It was arcades. Now you can patch almost all that shit. But now for 5 fucking years, they've been holding on to Street Fighter 4 and milking it for all it's worth. Super Street Fighter 4, that's fine. I understand that, because they had a lot of extra stuff. Then Arcade Edition came out, and that was honestly not that necessary. It's cool they had Yin and Yang back in there, but not necessary with Evo Ryu and Oni. Now we're getting an Ultra Street Fighter 4 with characters from Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Why are you putting so much effort into one title, one franchise, when you could be putting that into other franchises? And I also hear they're doing a new Strider. I am not holding my breath for that. I bet at the last minute they'll shelf that too and say that we fans we're not supporting them enough to do this. Capcom, you need to learn to get your fucking shit together, because that is not how it works. The consumers, you no longer have a fan base. It's just the group of consumers that you're appealing to, or should be appealing to, should not have to bend over backwards to suit your needs. You're supposed to be doing everything in your power to satisfy us. And the only thing you've been doing recently is pissing us off and alienating all that used to be your fans. I used to be a big fan of Capcom, but they've been pulling this shit so far too many times. I always told myself, for the past year and a half, that Darkstalkers was their last chance at keeping me around. Until I said, fuck you. Fuck you with a silver stake. Pun intended. Because honestly, I knew they were going to do this. I knew they were going to fuck it up in the end. I hate to do this, but everyone's been saying it. It's just me throwing in my 2 cents. I think Capcom is literally trying to commit suicide. Because when it comes right down to it, this is not good for business. They are clearly trying to just appeal to a wider demographic rather than the fans that they're already loyal to. They're already loyal to Capcom in the first place. I mean, what have they been doing with Resident Evil recently? Changing it so it's like freaking Call of Duty or something. It's no longer survival horror. It's a first-person shooter with zombies in it. It's nothing scary about that. It's not Resident Evil anymore. It's fucking House of the Dead with Resident Evil characters. And don't even get me started on them trying something new with the reboot of Devil May Cry. It's almost as if they were trying to tell us that they're aware that status quo and complacency is a bad thing, and they're going to change everything up. And then they changed it up to the point where the old fans were pissed off, but the casual players who had no idea what Devil May Cry used to be about loved it. And they even had in the game jabs at the old games, the old franchise. I don't even have to get started with the hair thing. How the silver wig falls on his head and he takes a look at it. I'm not even going to get into that for those who haven't seen it yet. But ultimately, Capcom, if you can't get your shit together, just close out, because you're obviously not making money. And we shouldn't have to show you money to let you know that we want something. You should just fucking do it, because you know that in the long run it's good for business. You could appeal to the casuals and to the veterans, but now you're only appealing to the fucking casual players who don't know any better, who don't know that your business practice and how it's all bullshit. You're gonna turn your back on them the second you find another thing that's getting really popular. Why are you constantly shutting everything down and just sticking with 1 or 2 franchises? Resident Evil is not going to save you, and Street Fighter is not going to save you. In fact, you didn't even want to do Street Fighter 4 in the first place. Yoshinori Ono had to tell you constantly, just try it, just do it, just fucking do it. He probably had to beg you to fucking do it, and you finally did. Why does Darkstalkers have to try and prove itself? Of course it's not going to be as popular as Street Fighter. It never was. It was kind of a cult favorite, cult classic, but at the same time, it had plenty of potential. It's not just a Street Fighter ripoff. You made the damn thing. You know it's not a ripoff. It's from your own same fucking company. But the problem is, everyone just thinks of it as inferior. But it's not inferior. Who thinks it's inferior? The fucking casual players who only know Street Fighter. You know why? Because that's all you tell them. That's all you feed them. That's all you give them. And they're just lapping it up in that bowl of milk, like it's a bowl of milk. Unfortunately for them, that's not really milk. You're stroking your ego so much, that's actually cock milk, all in the bowl. But luckily for the casuals, we got us. They got us, veterans of the gaming community, who are pulling them away from that dick milk from you, that nasty saucer, and telling you, hey, no, there's more to it than games like Resident Evil and Street Fighter. Capcom has so much more than that. I mean, there's a reason why you see all these characters in the crossovers. Talking about vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And I still see people wondering, like, who are all these characters? Because I've never heard of them before. They've never heard of Alex from Street Fighter 3. That's actually a shock to me, because you're constantly shoving Street Fighter down everyone's throats. But they don't know much about Mega Man. They never heard of Mega Man Bolnut from Mega Man Legends. They don't know anything about bots from rival schools. They don't know anything about Strider. You do. Yet you're talking about perhaps making a new Strider. And I bet you're going to fuck that one up too. And since Darkstalkers is the one the final straw for me, I'm still every now and then just annoyed how everyone has no idea where Morgan came from, or the fact that she's not even the main character in that series. Fucking Dimitri is. I'm not sure I fucking forget that. It's just, I'm not gonna come out here and just get all pissed off like in all my other rants. I just wanted to let you guys know, Capcom, even though I know you're not gonna hear this, this is not how you run a company. A company sells a product, but at the same time, the product's got to appeal to more than just a demographic that's always changing and always fickle. You had so many people willing to buy your shit, and you turn your back on them. You turn your back on them to appeal to the people who found something else more popular. Yes, there's so many people who constantly buy things like Call of Duty, but they're sheep. They're fucking sheep, and they're fickle. You can't have every game just be a fucking first-person shooter. And Street Fighter is not going to save your ass from bankruptcy if worse comes to worse. Eventually, even the casual fans are going to get enough of that shit. In fact, they've already had enough of this shit already with Street Fighter Cross Tekken. We get it. But it seems like you think that you can just pretty much shell out anything you want and everyone's just going to take it. As if you're trying to tell us, we know what you want, so don't whine about it. Just give us your fucking money and let us keep fucking you over and over and over again. That's not how it works, Capcom. We don't live to serve you. You live to entertain us, to serve us, and you insult us when we don't support you enough. Like with Mega Man, you said that fans didn't support you enough? Darkstalkers Resurrection, you shouldn't even have to ask us to show you money. You should just do it, and out of appreciation, we will pay you and buy the games and show you that we want this. And we'll encourage people. If you just advertise, things properly, if you just give things a chance, but you don't. You don't care about what the fans think. You shit on the fans, and then you appeal to everyone else. That's why you don't have a fan base anymore. You only have consumers. You only have customers. The casual gamer community who has no idea what you used to do is just buying all this shit. But the rest of us know. And it's about time you learned. Capcom, bottom line is, we give you money for good service. We pay your bills. You do not. I repeat, you do not have the right. You would never have the right to fuck with us or ever insult us like that. You need to get that through your fucking head before you get bankrupt. But then again, that might actually be a fucking good thing. Because you know what? When Midway went bankrupt, became NetherRealm Studios versus by WB, you know what happened? Mortal Kombat went back to its former glory. And they're doing extra stuff too. DC I fucking hate DC, but I'm interested in them now, just from what they're doing with Injustice. Holy shit. And it's a sad day when I could say Killer Instinct gets a new installment before Darkstalkers does. I mean, for things like TV tropes joke about it, like the reason why the suits won't let the creative do a new Darkstalkers is because, well, it's not Capcom, it's not Street Fighter. But that's exactly what you're telling us right now. You act as if Street Fighter is going to save everything, and it's not. Variety is the spice of life, but you act as if status quo is God, if I may quote TV tropes again. But even the gods have to die. Nothing is truly immortal. And neither are you, Capcom. You're going to die a slow, painful death, and the Reverend's just going to watch it happen. Because he's already seen it coming, as have so many of us here in the gaming community. And the casual gamers are getting smarter every day. Because we're letting them know. We're letting them know all the bullshit. And they will eventually catch on and realize that what you're trying to feed them is not worth it. It's not fucking worth it. It's only a matter of time. You have two options. You get your own head out of your own fucking ass. Straighten up. Fly right. Or you continue stroking your own fucking ego until you choke and die on your own fucking spunk. Because your ego just won't allow you to accept that you fucked up. But hey, that's on you. And if you go bankrupt, I hope someone purchases all your fucking franchise titles, because you're not those licenses, because you're not going to need them anymore. And someone else will finally bring back Mega Man. Bring back Darkstalkers. Oh, bring back Rival Schools for all I care. That'd be fucking great. Bring back those titles. Strider. Maybe a good Bionic Commando. It's just that you have so much potential. If you're going to resurrect these games, you might as well do it right. They gave Street Fighter a shot. You might as well give everything else a shot. But if you don't want to, fine. But don't bitch in the end when you lose everything. Because you fuck with the audience, you fuck with the consumers, you fuck with the people who pay your bills. Bitch, you ain't got the right to complain. Hell no, you don't. Next time you see me, hopefully, I'll have that fucking top 5 ready. It's recorded, it's just... I haven't had time to really edit anything. It's just... You know what? Fuck it. I think I'll work on that right now. I'll catch you later. Kill the feed.